as well.
So welcome everybody. Really delighted to be here to share with you our work on AI in classroom. I'm here with my colleague Neha Gupta. Neha, do you want to briefly introduce yourself before I make a start?
Yeah. Yes. So hi everyone, and absolutely delighted to be present on today's webinar. So I'm Dr. Neha Gupta. I'm assistant professor in information system management and analytics groups here at Warwick Business School. Prior to my academic career, I have been a practitioner in IT industry, as a data scientist and software developer. But I have been in academia from last 3 years, and very aggressively we have been working on this AI task force project, the findings of which we want to uncover as part of this presentation. So I was very fortunate to support my senior colleague, Dr. Isabel, on this project. So that's me. So you will hear from me in the second part of the presentation, but over to you, Isabel.
So yeah, similar to Neha, my background is in industry, where I worked in technology projects. So I led technology projects mainly in digital payments. So hence my interest in AI. And I start off with giving a contextual overview. Then we discuss the opportunities we established from our task and finish group and how it's linked to pedagogy. And then I give some basic examples. Neha takes this on with more advanced examples. And then depending on time, I might just re-outline. Some of you will have heard it before, but I developed an AI-based formative feedback tool. And for those of you who has not been aware of this tool, I'm very happy to discuss it at the end of our meeting, subject to us still having time for it. So as an outset, I would like to outline that there is no single AI, and we are aware of this, and we are using AI as an umbrella term. So it's really because I'm aware that some people find it important to point out that there's not a single AI, and I do agree with it. And we are looking at different variations here, but we are using the word AI as an umbrella term for, as you can see with this onion graph, for various aspects. And please do put questions in the chat if you have any, or raise your hand if you have any questions. So we believe that AI has the opportunity to democratize education. And we call it the pedagogic paradigm 4.0. So here, AI, educators, and students work together as partners on having a clear vision, and the vision and grand challenge being really about fairness. In our view, it's about trying to use AI ethically and to the greater good of actually trying to improve current perceived weaknesses in education. And one of those perceived weaknesses, as we know from NSS data across the sector, is formative feedback and fairness of assessments. And that's the reason why we focused on formative feedback from the start, because we believe there is something we can actually improve. Using AI is not standalone. It has to be embedded within processes and pedagogy. And you see here an extract of an article we recently published. We say that actually AI has to be embedded in such a way that students actually want to listen to you. So from the start, students might have the perception, because they're younger and they see themselves as more digitally able. So we want to acknowledge that actually students use technology on a daily basis, perhaps not in the way, though, that actually we want them to use technology as part of this your teaching or as part of preparation for their future work. So we acknowledge students' knowledge of technologies, while actually acknowledging as well that there are different aspects that they might not be aware of. So there's something they can learn. You then might want to position yourself as an expert, because we find ever so often that students actually want to be taught by an expert. So it's about you demonstrating your knowledge and discussing, let's say, hot topics from industry and how they apply to the technology that you want to convey. So students are inspired, and it's only then that you can then move on to facilitator role, where actually you encourage students to explore AI. And here we come to an article that Neha and I are about to submit for a special issue on generative AI, is that we actually find that at the moment, students do not use the full potential of AI because they don't really explore it for themselves. They want to be told, but we have to tell them actually that they can explore and develop their own understanding first. But this role as facilitator and conveying what AI is for them to explore needs to happen only after you've established first what students expect you to do, is showing your expertise and acknowledging that they are actually quite good in using technologies generally. And by following this sequence, you might get more buy-in with students conceptualizing, visualizing, and shaping the unknown future. With a group of over 50 members from across Warwick and also other institutions within Europe and worldwide, we have would you mind sharing your article? Okay, thank you for your interest. I'm going to send the links, but can't multitask. So I'm going to do this when Neha talks. I'm going to post some of the links to the articles. And let me just, this is the slide I'm showing here, the link I have to hand. No, so it's the link I didn't have to hand because I just, this is the link I shared with the other. But the link I've shared before, so somebody here, you can see it, not every, and so thanks Neha for doing it. And here we are looking at the moment at the slide of our resources, because I really encourage you to spend time on our resources and share them going forward and making sure that actually students use the site as well. So we have colleagues of mine for big modules of over 500 students. They use our resources to get students to start to think about AI and how to use it in an academic way. You can find our resources. There's a full report on the top left, and in the right column you have, for example, a student presentation for students, a student report for students, a student report for academics, academic advice for academics. So you have a mixture of resources that you might want to get your students to engage with, or you might want to engage yourself with. But it's 6 months work of many of us. So do spend time on the resources. They are up to date, and hopefully you make use of it. But you see broadly that we have split the report into 6 chapters. We have first the AI enhanced learning environment, where we try to explain why we believe that using AI in education is a good thing, rather than moving back, let's say, just to unseen exams. We have a chapter, and this is headed by Neha, on the teaching of the future. We have a chapter on ethics and academic integrity. So our decision at Warwick was to leave lecturers the choice of whether they want students to embrace AI, to use AI if they want to, or if they want to forbid AI. And you can see our rationale in that chapter 3. And we have a chapter on assessments and principles of using AI for assessments. We have a chapter on feedback and dialogues with AI. In that one, you also have the discussion of formative feedback provided by AI. And then we have a chapter which is forward-thinking about possible changes in higher education to environment more agile, and developing a supporting infrastructure. And so we have 6 broad chapters, but each of them is in 3 different parts. One part is produced by students only, one part is produced by our working groups, and one part is produced by external contributors. So in total, you'll find there are 18 subsections. So absolute amazing nighttime read. So don't miss out on it. And at this point, maybe we can have some feedback from everybody here, is because I'm going through easy examples. And the reason I mention easy examples is that we find actually, and Neha and I were just recently at the same, we're doing an internal presentation, and we asked who of colleagues had actually themselves used generative AI in different forms. And actually, it's a very small proportion of colleagues who have actually tried out different forms of AI themselves. So my question here to the audience is, I give here the example of DALL-E and HeyGen. Who of you has used DALL-E for artwork, and who of you has tried HeyGen? Anybody? Just write in the chat or raise your hand. Nobody? Okay, so if you haven't, so Michael, perfect. So Michael, you and Andre, you both have used it, and Mike as well. So for those who have used DALL-E, I think it's easy to use, which I assume you agree with it. The other thing is HeyGen. HeyGen is a new way, so you upload your picture. Thanks. Yeah, most have used DALL-E. Good. And so if you haven't used HeyGen, you find here 3 examples of me producing a birthday message, actually for my godson. So you see my first recording, and then you see the translation into French, all done by AI. And it's all a question of me typing in my birthday wishes, and then it's then translated, and it's produced as a talking picture. So you see the picture I have on the first page here of this presentation, and that picture starts to talk in a I think I chose British accent rather than American accent. For those of you, I see nobody has used here Claude yet, it seems. And I think you should really start looking at Claude. I'm really, really impressed with Claude. I also like Bart, and none of you mentioned Bart. Bart is so easy to use. So do sign up for them. They all are free to use up to a certain, degree, because after all, you give up your data, and you also have often a limit of what you can do. But and each about Gamma. Okay, and so Gamma. Do you want to tell more about Gamma? Because I haven't tried Gamma yet. Do you want to unmute yourself to share the insights of It's for Slides? Okay. So yeah, Nia, are you going to talk about Gamma afterwards with your PowerPoint presentation? Yeah.
Yes, I think there is a link I have provided to Gamma saying that, and I will show the ChatGPT way of creating presentation also, but Gamma is a tool or, an app which can help you generate that. There are multiple ways to do the same thing, and Gamma is one of it for PowerPoint generator. Yeah. Thank you, MSC. I'm quite happy to see that a lot of people are actively using AI here. Yeah.
So Nia, your turn. So you can now continue with the more the advanced versions.
Yes, that's correct, Andre. I'm just reading the chat messages, and I think Andre is quite right in saying, but saying that, I think, yes, it produces non-reliable information, but for me, it's about, how we can productively manage our time. And even if, we get some course slides to begin working with, it saves, some amount of your time. So the more we start getting used to generating stuff automatically and then refining it later on what we want to put our expert knowledge in that, then I think that should be the way forward in my view. So thank you, Isabel. I think, yeah, so for your introduction and, for your sharing your knowledge. So from my side of things, I would like to share four use cases. Prompt engineering, I'm sure if you are using DALI and ChatGPT extensively, you might have come across prompt engineering, but I'll touch on that. And then there are other two or three tools which I have used myself personally, which I think they are good, interesting use cases in teaching context, which I would like to share with some fellow colleagues here. So that's the overall broad agenda, for my talk here. Yes, I think you're right, Andre. Adobe and Microsoft, they are already, I think, embedding plugins in their applications, which can allow you to do that. And I don't see that in near future. It could be in months we will get the latest update. Who knows? So that's absolutely right. Next slide, please, Isabel. Yeah, so prompt engineering. So how many of you know about prompt engineering? I think most of the people, I think we have got five. Yeah, Copilot is good. MC for coding kind of things. I've seen it really good. A bit, Andrew says. Okay, so let me just uh, okay, Mike has done, Mike knows about prompt engineering. So this is a very useful resource for prompt engineering. There is a full dedicated website, if you want to spend some time as part of your CPD, we say continuous professional development activity, learn prompting. So there are a lot of clues and guides and examples there on this website, which tells about how you can go on getting better at writing prompts when you are interacting with these generative AI models. So one of the well-known method, which is called short prompting, this is to do with when you write your prompt to a generative AI tool, and you provide specific number of examples in which you want your output to be seen as. That's called short prompting. So you write a basic prompt, and then you refine it that this is the kind of tone I'm looking in the text, or this is the kind of example I want. I want you to bullet point the stuff, when the generative AI or large language model is returning the output. So that's called short prompting. So you can continue from a very coarse looking shallow prompt and going on to the fine-tuned prompt, so that's something which is that is something which comes with practice. The more you start writing prompt in this way, the more you will get better in writing prompts and get better output from these large language model. You can use it for structuring the data, as I said, writing emails, different writing style, bullet points, paragraphs, giving example. And for image prompting, as Isabel mentioned, OpenAI DALI tool is also the one which kind of works on this prompting kind of mechanism, and you can refine the prompts to get a better output. So on this particular website, I have seen, there is list of some example products. I think one of the link you will find on this website, that which all products, which all language models or generative AI tools take prompting as an input to generate an output. There's a big list, and that becomes, I think, a window to many other tools which we don't know generally, because I think Bard, ChatGPT, Gamma, Bing, they are the common ones. But then behind the doors, there are many other which are available out there. And how do you know which are these ones? So this can be also kind of an encyclopedia of it. Do you think users need to understand how AI is actually creating output, as otherwise they think of it as magic? I think that's right. I would say, Mike, but I think there are two audiences here. As educators, we ourselves need to have some sort of basic understanding of it, how the output is generated, but it gets into really machine learning and deep learning side of things, and how these large language models are written and how the data is actually processed internally. So I don't think all educators coming from different discipline backgrounds are, for myself, I understand up to fair bit because my background or my training is in computer science, but I think it is hard. But I would say there is a very useful resource. I can share the link later on, with Edith. I have seen a slide from Dominic from Oxford University. I think he is the technology support person, and he has got some very interesting slide on SlideShare. I think I'll be sharing that link in one of this presentation, in one of the upcoming slides. There, he kinds of talk about in at least 5-6 slides how exactly the output is being generated. So from a layman point of view, you can get some sense of how the data is being combined.
So can I just come in here just briefly? So first of all, the University of Oxford, so Dominic's page is linked on our page, so you can see it in additional resources at the bottom right. So if you go into our page, you can see the input from the University of Oxford. Second, Mike, we're coming here to do students need to understand it? We also need to think who is going to teach this? So because if you think about our various modules, if you're doing, let's say, a third-year undergraduate student, you as the lecturer on a topic, let's say accounting, wouldn't want to then start to explain how AI works, because actually students might have heard it before, they might not, but it's not really the topic you want to cover. So on the one hand, I don't think it is the lecturer's role to now start to all explain AI. It's more like a university decision, and that's why we have our AI resources there, is that students actually have to take some ownership of engaging with AI if they wanted to understand the detail of machine learning. But I don't think, coming back, I don't think it's the lecturer's role to start to now talk about it. I do think students need to know how the basic understanding, and I've written 2 teaching cases, for example, to explain the basics of AI. So do look at my, on the page, there are 2 teaching cases, and you can use them if you wanted to discuss the basics of AI with students. And
yeah, I think Mike is saying they need to understand the limitations. Yes, I think the way we can share that knowledge with our students, in my point of view, we can give them examples, examples wherein AI goes right, examples where AI goes wrong, and that's how we kind of communicate, the barriers, as Isabel said, or the limitations of it. But opening up the black box, I think that cannot be possible because people are coming from different disciplines, isn't it?
And coming back to the limitations, exactly those 2 teaching cases I wrote are talking about ethics and the ethics of AI. So do look at those teaching cases and possibly use them in your teaching or share them with colleagues.
Yeah. So MC agreed with it. So I think continuing on our slides, Isabel, can I move to next slide, please? Yeah, so as I mentioned, example, prompt engineering. So in this one, as part of writing the report, I was like, let me play with ChatGPT because I wanted to reword a certain paragraph or kind of rephrase it using ChatGPT. And you can see, in this particular example, the rephrase output which was generated by ChatGPT for a particular paragraph which I inputted to ChatGPT is kind of very ambiguous in its meaning, because in the paragraph, if I can read it out, the one which I wanted to rephrase it, I wanted to rephrase the discussion of this strand focused on the potential use of AI and some of the commonly available AI tools that can be employed by educators and students alike in a collaborative manner. Okay, so the question here was educators and students collaborating with AI, and I wanted AI to rephrase it. AI completely changed the context of it, here in this case ChatGPT, and it said, the discussion centered around AI potential use of readily available tools for collaboration among educators and students. So it's not about AI collaborating with students and educators. So AI on one side and educators and students on the other side. However, the meaning completely is changed. So the more you play with the prompts, you will see such examples coming in your own teaching practice. And what I tend to do, I tend to take the screenshots of this and save them in my learning material. And on the weeks when I'm going to teach, a little bit about AI, how they are going to use AI. I do share these examples as limitations of, of AI. And I think, knowing the art of prompting, these are another three examples which I've used personally. You can give a prompts like, proofread my writing above, fix grammar, spelling mistakes, make suggestion that will improve my writing clarity. So here, you are doing short prompting. You are providing specific instruction to ChatGPT. You can also use 80-20 rule in prompting, wherein you want to say, insert a topic. I wanted to learn about a topic. Can you identify most important 20% learning from this topic that will help me understand 80% of it? So that's like, extracting the gist of maybe a big page or 2 pages of an article, and generating new ideas is something which I have heard, most of our students have started using it, as prompting to ask, a new kind of ideas. What can I write about, particular topic? What are some of the initial ideas? And that can be a starting point, removing some barriers in thinking. So that's prompt engineering. Next slide, please, Isabel. The second one, I think most of you are already going the way to interact change to be more conversational rather than prompting. It can, yes, but I think I already see prompting as interaction in my view, Mike, because when I specify examples, when I refine my language, the way I talk to the AI tool, I feel I'm interacting with my AI assistant. So I think we are already moving in that direction.
So you just in response to Mike's point here on the conversational tone, I looked at how others prompt, and I'm surprised how many people still use words like please. Could you please outline? So they really develop this conversational tone and make it very human-like. And I keep saying, why bother to write please? But anyway, so yeah, I can see, Mike, where you were coming from.
Yeah.
No, what I'm really getting at is, I mean, this prompting, it's based on the fact that the way the humans have built, the question answering and on top of the large language models, and it's sort of like a black box, really. It's an art, not a science, and surely, in the future, a more conversational model which will say, could you make some slides about this? And the AI will come back and say, okay, how do you want me to make the slides? And rather than this weird way of writing prompts, trying to work out how to interact with a black box. And I'm imagining that prompt engineering, people are teaching it at the moment. Perhaps by next year it'll be out the window.
But then, Mike, it's a bit like what I think a lot of no-code, low-code environment, isn't it? And it still takes some time, doesn't it? We talked about no-code, low-code, or low-code, no-code for some time, and we're still, I think, using code. So it's not as, when you said, I think progress isn't as fast as we imagine.
I think it's only the prompting which will change the shape of it. I think we are already using part of conversational element in prompting already, and slowly as the time progresses, Gartner technology kind of cycle, if you look at, sometimes we think we are in a hype mode and then it drops, as Isabel mentioned. I think 2 years ago there was this hype, low code, no code is going to replace everything, but people are still coding. So I think it will take a while before it becomes completely conversational. Okay, so I think Gamma, thank you, Mike. It's really nice, we are having this interactive session and people are really engaged, with the material which we are sharing. So thank you for that. And moving on, Gamma, I think as many of you mentioned, you have used it. So Gamma is an app which can be a web app, you can use to generate presentation slides automatically, but you can also do it in ChatGPT. So if you know VBA is Visual Basic Code, which is available in most of the Microsoft suite of products. It's a code, it's a coding language, Visual Basic. And if you ask ChatGPT to give you a code that can generate a PowerPoint presentation about a particular topic. So for example, in this screenshot, as you can see, if you give ChatGPT, say, give me a VBA code that generate a PowerPoint presentation on a topic of a lesson plan to teach AI challenges and opportunities I need, and I need 4 slides, again, short prompting, just specifying the stuff, then you will see ChatGPT will actually generate the code for that. And it will even tell the steps you need to do in your PowerPoint. So if you mind, Isabel, can I share my screen, because I want to give the live presentation of this, how I have done it in past. Let me share my screen. Give me a sec. So, so I hope you are able to see the PowerPoint slide. I'm opening the PowerPoint slide here.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. So what? So ChatGPT gives me this instruction here. It gives me the code here. I just. Can you still see my screen? No, I think you
No,
can't.
we only see the PowerPoint.
No. I think I want you to see my entire screen. Wait, just give me a sec. Because I'll be entire screen. Yeah, I think I'm on. Can you see my screen? Yeah, I think you can now. So
yes,
if I copy code here, and if I, so you go to your PowerPoint, which is like this, and you just say Alt F11 here, and that's what I'm doing, Alt F11. So this is the the Visual Basic window which gets open. You just simply follow the instructions, click Insert, and you are inserting the code here. Where is insert? So you just open here, you copy paste the code, and what does it say? In the module, you created a new module, copy pasted it, and then you close the VBA editor. So this is the window wherein you have, so you just close this Visual Basic Editor. Now you have copy pasted the code there, and then you run Alt F8. So these are all shortcuts. So you say Alt F8, and then you can say, this is automatically, this module was created when I copy pasted the code. And if I say run, the 4 slides are generated. So this is really coarse, but then you can refine your prompt, but you have got at least 5 or 10 or 12, whatever you specify in the prompt, and it will give you some basic slides. So I can go to each slide and start editing and do more stuff. So I think ChatGPT is able to give that code, and you can use that in your, if you want to create a presentation about a basic presentation about any topic. So Isabel, can we go back to the slides, please? I'll stop sharing. So there is a question, do you need to provide additional information prompt for the slide to be accessible? No, Edith. It's just that you just asked ChatGPT about this code, which is a Visual Basic code. It gives you the code, follow the instruction, and that's it. You are done, really. So you don't really need a lot of coding experience, and you can still play with PowerPoint on that. Is that okay, Edith? Has that answered your question?
Thank you. I was thinking of accessibility from the user point of view. If you had a screen reader, for example.
Screen reader, I didn't get that. So the PowerPoint, yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was just going to answer that. If you're using the standard PowerPoint template, it'll be accessible.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next slide, please. So yeah, so these were the steps as I just showed in the demos. So next slide, Isabel. Next one, please. Yeah, and the next one which I have used, yeah. What about one responding to emails, marking? Um, Responding to emails, I think there is this example, paraphrasing. So I don't think I have tried with any AI, automatic AI respond to my emails yet, but Quillbot is really good in terms of paraphrasing and in terms of writing nice emails. I've tried that, but not automatically. I have tried marking.
Yeah.
Isabel.
Yeah, no, I said, so then, of course, it depends on your institution. And at Warwick, we have a clear instruction that we do not use AI for marking. We also, lecturers are not allowed to upload anybody else's assignments onto any
Yes.
form of generative AI. So we have a clear no for marking policy, no for AI for marking. And of course, your institution might handle this differently, but I would go with your institutional guidance. And I generally think at the moment, from my work on using AI for formative purposes, it is we always discuss about automating versus augmenting. I do think in the long run we will be able to augment the marking process, but I do think it has to be a collaboration between the human marker and AI that actually work together. And AI can make the marking process quicker, but I don't think AI is that there yet to actually accurately provide a mark that students believe they get based on the teaching you have provided. So, and we are very happy to discuss it. And one of the teaching cases I wrote was actually using AI for marking. And if you look at it, it's even if the percentage difference is small, the stakeholders, the students, the greater public would not approve of an institution to move marking to AI. And last point on this, I do think as a first step, we have to differentiate between low stakes environment, let's say assessments that are worth less than 20% or 20% and less of the module mark, and high stakes environments, which is like the main over 80% of the mark. I do think if we want to start using AI for marking, we have to be upfront with students about it and develop something in a low stakes environment rather than just lectures trying to upload essays that are worth 80% of the student's mark and then coming up with the feedback and marking at the moment in a non-structured way.
Yeah.
Just on that, there is nothing stopping a student putting the marking rubric into AI and uploading their essay and seeing how it marks it according to the rubric.
Absolutely, and then that comes back to using AI to actually improve, because then you students use it to engage further with their assignment. So absolutely, students can do it, but for us lecturers to do it is next step. So I think I responded it in the response was for marking. I do think students should use AI to get formative feedback.
Thank you, Isabel. I think, yeah, so the next one, another tool which I have used and I found it, I think just, yeah, sorry, Isabel. So there is a YouTube link if you want, I think in interest of time, I would not like to give a demo, but let me just very quickly share my screen. So this is a speech texter actually. Yeah, so this is a speech texter, and if you see, if I press,
So we at the moment we cannot hear the sound, but normally you would hear the sound, and then you can see how the video gets straight away transcribed. It's a bit like when we use Teams and we allow transcriptions, so that's similar in the speech texter.
Yeah. So yeah, so there are online tools. Thank you, Isabel. There are online tools available, if which can help you write some lecture notes. If you are hearing a podcast or and there are important points which you think you might need to include it in your lecture to share as an example or as an industry use case with your students. Then, and if you're not using Teams, for example, so there are things like speech texters which can help you generate text to do it. Okay, oh, that's good to know. Thank you, Mike. I didn't knew that Google Chrome has a free extension, so that's an excellent share of knowledge, which can allow to do the similar stuff. Isabel, back to slides, please. Thank you. Yeah. Next one, please. Yeah, and then it's coming. This is the excerpt from our report. We have shared a lot of available tools as on, a month ago, or as on today, which we are available out there in market, which can be used, to enhance your education practice. There are some people to follow on LinkedIn, which I personally follow. Generative AI is one group, Superhuman. Ethan Mollick, Wharton professor. Wharton School professor in United States. He's quite active in sharing his voice with regards to whatever new progress is happening in generative AI. So maybe following his LinkedIn page, and AI Frontier is another one. So these are the 4 ones where I see a lot of top voices on LinkedIn and what is being conversed on the generative AI piece. There are active people sharing their knowledge, so that can be a good idea to follow similar kind of influencers or LinkedIn pages. Next one, please. Warwick Business School, the research cohort from ISMA, Information System and Management Analytics Group, to which myself and Isabel belong. Our PhD students came up with this cheat sheet, AI for Research, and here we share some of the links which are there, or some of the tools which can be used for literature generation, analyzing the literature, literally guiding your research forward if you are in process of writing a paper, and how you can utilize this one. So all that knowledge is captured as part of this cheat sheet. Cheat sheet, please don't go with the word. Cheat sheet is a vocabulary which is used a lot of time in computer science and in technological domain. You can find Python cheat sheets. Python is a programming language, or R cheat sheets, C. People just use it that it's a summary of concepts in one page, and someone a few years ago came up with the term cheat sheet, and just following on from then. But it's basically a summary of important concepts on 1 or 2 pages, how you can get it done. What is Warwick policies on using AI tools? Isabel, would you like to take that question, please? Would you know?
Okay, the policy for students, they have to sign, their documents, and the thing is, it's a bit like before you could have somebody to proofread your documents. So I do believe that at the moment we cannot, or we know that there's no way that we can actually check students' writing, that all attempts by the sector, not just all attempts by the sector to detect whether students have used AI have failed. So what we say is, you have to make sure that your assessment is authentic enough and provides is measured by things that do not depend on rephrasing using any form of AI. And so the policy is that actually we don't know if students use it, and they have to sign documents where they might say that they haven't used it. Because you remember I said that Warwick has a 3-pronged approach. Lecturers can actively encourage students to use AI, and lecturers can accept the use of AI, or lecturers can forbid. And if lecturers forbid the use of AI, it's up to them then to try to devise assignments where they can detect the use of AI. But generally the policy is so students, we cannot deter students from doing so, because it's just non-detectable. But one thing I find, and is that actually, when Neha and I, we worked on the same research, because in May, I had encouraged students to use AI for their assignments. And we found that most students just use it exactly for the rephrasing and for getting the wording. But actually, what students are assessed on is critical thinking, for example. But critical thinking didn't come across. If you just get things to rephrase, you don't get the high marks because it's not going to show and demonstrate critical thinking. So what we have to do is to say to students, look, you can use AI to rephrase, but make sure that actually you bring in your own IP and your own ideas to actually be able to demonstrate critical thinking. And so that's, thanks, Neha, for sharing the link.
Yeah. So that's it from my side. I think, I just wanted to share some examples where I have started getting engaged with some of these AI tools. And obviously there's more to it, and fellow colleagues might be using it in a different way or similar ways. But it was just, to share what we have been doing here at Warwick and sharing with our colleagues based on the practices we have adopted in our teaching. So over to you, Isabel. That was it from me.
Yes, so the last part, thanks, Neha. The last part was on the tool, and we can briefly discuss it afterwards. But first, to the question on the effect of the use of AI tools. So when I developed this AI formative feedback tool, the students who used the tool based on some analysis did 6% higher marks. So if students using the tool beforehand gave them a higher mark. However, we do have to differentiate between correlation and causation. So it's maybe not causation. Maybe it's not the students who use the tool that get a higher mark, but it's mainly the students who are engaged in their learning who would have got a higher mark, happen to use the tools and thus got a higher mark than other students. So let's be careful between correlation and causation. Absolutely, Mike, and equity issues, yeah. But interestingly, those who have the paid version on ChatGPT, actually, if you use a combination of, let's say, Claude and Bard and the free version, you can actually have quite good support without paying. And yeah, we as a school actually look into those things. That we do look at it, but at the moment we don't provide everybody with funding for getting ChatGPT forward. But I think they would be not right either, because as I said, Claude and Bard do offer alternatives. So why would we go with ChatGPT just because it's at the moment the paid version is better than the free version there? Any other questions? And then I'm conscious that Edith said before that we want to finish on time. Let me just briefly show you some slides. So this is, we have done this formative feedback tool. The idea here is to bring different parts together, processes, people, and data. And it's an additional report. It uses various form of technology. It doesn't use GPT. It uses BERT as a transformer. The reaction of staff was mixed, and AI ethics is important for us, and we have the advantage that we actually know that the data we collect is not kept anywhere, but we delete everything. So we're really, really proud of this tool. It works as a formative tool, so it's not involved in high stakes assessments. As I mentioned before, I believe that actually we have to try things out in a formative or low stakes environment first. Here are you get the presentation, the type of features the students get, and it's well perceived by students. Students appreciate it, and the IT environment might not be necessarily there to actually use AI tools in full yet, but this is maybe to come. So that was in a nutshell the part on formative feedback tool. I did previously a presentation as part of an Edith group on the formative feedback tool, so you might have heard me talk about it. But it's just to say, generative AI is not all. And there are other forms of AI that are important, that help us to democratize education, and especially by providing a tool such as this, which is free for all students, we are bypassing the equity issues we've discussed before. That's really the end. So any last questions? Otherwise, we finish 5:02 on time. Any questions? Can you go exit file? So I didn't try Excel files yet, because I teach topics that only require Word, and I publish using mainly qualitative research.
No, I haven't tried it either, but I think I'm tempted, when Michael says, converting Excel to CSV and uploading it to Claude. I think I'll give it a go, Michael, getting some ideas from here. No, I haven't tried it as yet.
The big issue generally, and this is my last point, is that it's always very difficult to pitch AI talks at the right level. Last time we did, Yenea and I did something internally, and I felt we pitched at a too high level. This time we and now I think actually with you as an audience, we should have actually made it, pitched it higher. It's very difficult to predict, and thank you for staying with us and listening to us.
And thank you to Isabel and Niha for this really engaging talk. I think lots of conversations in the chat. So thank you so much. And everybody have a really good afternoon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thanks for listening. Thanks for having us.